Hello, FNAFers! The spring has come and so did FNAF. And I think that I might have solved one of the biggest mysteries of Five Nights at Freddy's. Who is Mrs. Afton? But before we start, I want to ask you to please subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my videos and press that like button. Now, did you ever wonder who is that bald person sitting on the sofa inside the Afton house in FNAF 6 secret minigame hidden within Midnight Motorist? A lot of you would say that this is Michael Afton, but they would be wrong, cause we do see that Michael does have his hair in FNAF sister location minigame. The only time we see him bald was only when he was fully rotted. But here he is not, and so we can conclude that this is not Michael Afton. Now, this can't be Elizabeth either, cause this person is tall, and as we know, Elizabeth died young, and she would have also orange hair if this was her. Now, there's only 3 people left for us to choose from: Evan, William, and Mrs. Afton. We can assume that this is not William, cause as we see in the graphic novels, William does have his hair, and it would be real strange for William to have hair in the books, but not in the games, even if they are alternate realities. So yeah, now we have only 2 options left. Either it's Evan, who had survived after the bite but because of it he lost his hair, or it's Mrs. Afton. Though the theory that this is Evan Afton after the bite is believable, there are a lot of facts about him possessing Golden Freddy / Fredbear, like for example, in FNAF 1, Golden Freddy says to Michael, "It's me," meaning that it's me, your brother. Then in the survival logbook on page with the Fredbear plush, Cassidy asks Evan, "Does he still talk to you?" Talking about William talking through the Fredbear plush to Evan. And then on page 103, Cassidy says, "The party was for you." And then on page 89, Evan replies with, "It was for me." And both of these prove that she is talking to Evan. On page 59, Cassidy asks, "What do you see?" And then Evan replies on page 89 with, "I can't see, and I can hear sounds," which we know from the Fazbear Frights books as side effects of possessing an animatronic with someone else. And so we can assume that he possesses Golden Freddy with Cassidy. And the last proof that Evan possesses Golden Freddy is that in FNAF 3 we can see Souls recreating FNAF 4's birthday for Golden Freddy, and in FNAF 4 it was Evan's birthday. And so all 4 of these clues prove that Evan possesses Golden Freddy. Now, that would be strange if Evan was possessing Golden Freddy at the same time as he sits at home watching TV and eating popcorn. And so the only person left is Mrs. Afton. And now you may ask that if this is Mrs. Afton, then why is she bald? And the answer would be simple: tumor. Now, if we look into FNAF Fazbear Frights Book 6, The Black Bird, and then into the second story called The Real Jake. The same story we used to find out crying child's real name. We'll see a family of Evan, his son Jake, and brother who is named Michael, who acts robotic, and all other family members are dead, just like in the Afton family. Now, if that's not enough for you, then the son Jake has a friend who is actually a toy with father's walkie-talkie inside. And now you can see the parallel between the Afton family and this family. Now the important thing here is that the son Jake in the story has tumor, which can be inherited from parents or grandparents. Now, in the story, Evan doesn't have any tumor, and so if we consider that this is Evan Afton, then we could assume that either William or Mrs. Afton had tumor. In the graphic novels, William does have his hair, and he runs a lot, which means that he probably doesn't have any tumor. And so, we can assume that Mrs. Afton is the one who has it, which would explain why she is bald in this minigame. Now, let's talk about Ballora and how she is connected to Mrs. Afton. It is not confirmed that Mrs. Afton possesses Ballora, but there is clues that prove that she is related to her in some way, either possession or something else. Now, if we come back to the story The Real Jake, we can find out that Evan and the caretaker were creating a doll representing Jake if he didn't have tumor. The doll would have been a present for Jake if he would beat the tumor. But sadly he didn't, and so at the end he possessed the doll, but not in the way you would imagine it. Now, if we connect it to Mrs. Afton, we could assume that William was creating Ballora as a gift for Mrs. Afton if she would beat the tumor. Ballora would have been representing Mrs. Afton if she didn't get tumor, and by that we can assume that she always wanted to be a ballerina, but she couldn't because she has tumor. By the fact that she is not in FNAF 4, we could assume that she didn't make it, and that would have made William go crazy, and maybe that was the reason he started experimenting with immortality and remnant to bring Mrs. Afton back to life. And maybe he did, but not in the way you would imagine it. In FNAF Photograph Rights, Book 4, Come Closer, Story 2, Dance With Me, we see Ballora, but not as an animatronic, but more like a hologram that appears when we put on the special cardboard glasses. But it's not a hologram. Here is a quote from the story. There was Ballora prowling among the colorful fall leaves. As she spun, the bright leaves were sucked into her vortex. For a few seconds, Casey admired the beauty, but then she thought, wait, if Ballora is just a picture, a hologram, then how is she affecting the objects around her? It didn't make sense. And when I had read this, I was confused. Is she a hologram or an invisible animatronic? Now, in the story, there are a lot of mothers. The mother of the main protagonist was the reason Casey, the main protagonist, was homeless. Then later in the story, she encounters two grandmas who help her. One gives an advice and the other helped with money. And even the person Casey stole the glasses from also was a mother. And this made me think about Mrs. Afton and her similarities with Ballora. Now, what if William did bring her back to life as a ghost who you can see only when you put on these special glasses and who can move the objects around her and can affect people's nightmares as we can see in the story? I think she is something like Golden Freddy, who is related to an animatronic, but is a ghost that you can sometimes see in FNAF 1 and FNAF 2 when you hallucinate. Now, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? Now, I want to talk about when did she possibly die and when she became the holographic Ballora. Now, if we look at FNAF 4, we won't see Mrs. Afton or Elizabeth, which means that they both are already dead. So let's go back to 1983, the date when Circus Baby's Pizza World had opened and closed due to Elizabeth's death. In the story Dance With Me, the glasses are from the Circus Baby's Pizza World, and so we can guess that the glasses were already made when Circus Baby's Pizza World had opened, which means that Mrs. Afton died somewhere in 1980s but before 1983. And that's it. The only thing to find out about her is her real name. And some of you might say that her name is Clara, but that's not her official name. It was actually the name from a person from a TV show in FNAF Sister location. And in the show, the vampire that represents William is called Vlad, which probably means that Mrs. Afton's real name is also different from the one in the show. So yeah, for now that's it. Subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my videos, press that like button with that bell, and remember, I always come back.